Kıymetli konuklarımız, günümüz rekabet koşullarında elindeki verileri akıllı eylemlere çevirebilen şirketler, gelecekte söz sahibi olacak olan isimler olacaklar. İş hayatındaki değişimde verilere dair içgörülerin nasıl etkin bir rol aldığını, müşterilerin yenilikçi hamleler yapabilmek için verilere hangi yollarla odaklandığını ve SQL Server 2016'nın bu anlamda nasıl alanının lideri olduğunu ve aynı zamanda verilerden içgörü kazanmayı sağlayan analitik ve görselleştirme aracımız Power BI'yi da lansmanımızda şimdi sizlerle paylaşacağız. Ben sahneye Microsoft Grup Finans Müdürü Sayın Cory Hrncirik'i alkışlarınızla davet etmek istiyorum.
The power of data is transforming the world. When used to its potential, it holds the promise to solve our toughest problems, to disrupt the competitive landscape, and create new business opportunities. But those responsible for harnessing the opportunities created by data have seen the landscape change beneath them. They're being asked to do more with less, and to drive business results with new technologies. Amidst constant change, they look for certainty. Microsoft SQL Server 2016 is a mission-critical business analytics and data management platform that enables organizations to benefit from certainty while creating new opportunities from their data. To make enterprise data work for your business, it must be secured and easy to manage. With data that's always encrypted, you can have greater peace of mind and confidence in the security of your data. To meet the growing and evolving demands of your business, you need scalability and industry-leading performance with an end-to-end business intelligence and analytics solution built in. Bring your data to life with engaging mobile reports and stunning data visualizations. Put the right data and insights in the hands of those who need it, from wherever they are, with powerful business intelligence tools. With advanced analytics, you can benefit from the latest advances to move from just understanding what happened in the past to predicting what may happen in the future. Using predictive models created from your data, you can improve how you stock your products, forecast sales, and even predict customer behavior. With a flexible data platform, you decide where your data lives and how you want to deploy. On-premises, stretching to the cloud, or both with a hybrid solution. When you can create this kind of certainty about your data and what it means, it becomes a kind of blueprint to the future you want to build for your company. Because when you're certain, the possibilities are powerful.
Merhaba. Such a pleasure to be here in beautiful Istanbul. So my name is Cory Hrncirik, and I have the great pleasure to talk to you about how we internally at Microsoft are transforming our analytics using all of these great tools that you've heard so much about today. I'm actually in our finance team, which is a little bit unusual, I guess. But someone like you, I guess you could say I'm a customer as well of Microsoft technology and tools. And I want to take you on a little bit of a journey of how data is evolving for all of us. And actually, we're going to go back about 30 years ago, right? And I think probably most people in this room were alive 30 years ago. And you can remember this time when all of the data and all of the information in the world was analog, right? What do I mean by analog? It was books, it was phonograph records, right? You remember that day. And in that 30 years, actually in about 15 years, we saw this huge explosion of digital data. That's the purple portion on the graph. We started to see things come in, and then until the 2000s, the mid-2000s, we started to see DVDs, we saw CDs, tapes, etc. And not just that, but half of the digital data had an IP address. So it was fully connected data, right? We live now in this era where all of the data that we have is connected to all of us to our devices, to our PCs, to our computers. And this is just expanding. Now in 2015, 2016, you see on the graph, not only does this connected data represent half of the total digital data, or more than half, but you can see that the total digital space has just exploded. And this will continue in the next 5 years. In fact, the expectations are that this digital universe actually takes over and becomes the predominant field that we all have to work in. We all have to learn now, and we have to adapt. As was mentioned earlier today, the S&P 500 companies that started 100 years ago, most of them are not around today. And why is that? Because they didn't learn to adapt to changing economy, to changing dynamics. So all of us in this room have this challenge ahead of us. We have to try to understand all of this new digital information and be able to make sense of it in our organizations and use it to drive not only insights, but drive action. And so that's what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about how the tools are allowing us to actually do exactly that, because data really is the new currency in this new economy. Right? Data is what is making our world the world that it is. It makes our businesses successful. And it's not just us that are saying that. Actually, the IDC had a study a couple of years ago where they surveyed 2,000 companies, and they tried to understand who was using data and who was not. And based on their study, they concluded that those companies who learn to harness the power of data will reap a dividend of $1.6 trillion over the next 4 years versus the competitors who do not. And so it's imperative that all of us learn to harness the power of data. And how do we do that? Or why will people be successful that do that? Because they can tap into more diverse data sets. They can access data from wherever it resides. These companies that are successful can use new analytics. They can not just be content with the standard spreadsheets, but they can actually dive deeper, interact with their data, and predict the future as well. And finally, they can allow more people around the world to access the data and collaborate in real time to, again, derive those insights and take the right actions that they need. And all of this they can do at greater speed than ever before, thanks to this great technology. And so it's a bit of a continuum, right? I mean, I've been doing a job like mine now for 20 years. I've been an analyst of some form or another. I've managed analysts. I've run teams. And what we've seen is traditionally, we've always been worried about traditional BI, where we've been looking backwards, trying to understand what happened. And that's very important. It will continue to be important. But it becomes more and more difficult to actually then predict what will happen next. And so as we move to the right side of this slide, we start to need diagnostic analytics. And then we need predictive, and then we need prescriptive. We need our technology to actually tell us what action we need to take. And that's the progression that we all find ourselves on. And again, as I said, the technology is now enabling us to do all of those things very fluently. In the old days, it was very difficult to do this, even in the wonderful spreadsheet days, which we all know and love. So technology, I've mentioned a couple times. I want to walk us through how we take our data and turn it into action. So everybody in this room has an organization with data. You have departments, many of you probably are the IT departments who are managing the wonderful data, information management and the data stores for your company. You have data warehouses, and that's important. It's very important. In fact, that's the bulk of the effort is actually structuring the information and the data in such a way that analysts in your company, business decision makers in your company can access the data and can use it to actually drive the business forward. And so when we start getting into intelligence is where we start talking about machine learning, for example, advanced analytics. And then when we want to take action, that's where we need the beautiful interactive dashboards and visualizations. We need a digital assistant, right? We all want these apps now that we're able to interact with in real time. At Microsoft, we have technology that spans obviously this whole spectrum, which is fantastic. So with one place, with one company, you can get access to all of the technology that will power your company to be able to to extract all of this insight and take action on your data. Starting in Azure with the information management, to Azure data lakes or SQL data warehouse, which we're going to talk about in a minute, to Azure machine learning, and then to Power BI. And you can read some of the other things on the page as well. So we're going to talk about a few of those technologies as we go through this next little bit. So SQL 2016, very exciting that this just launched. The greatest launch of SQL in Microsoft history. We build on every generation of SQL, and this is by far the best. There's some amazing tools that are enabling us to transform. As I said, I'm in finance, and this year at Microsoft is the first year ever in the history of the company that we ran one of our biggest business reviews. We call it mid-year review. We ran it from one single data source. We ran it from an Azure KPI data lake, and we ran it using pre-release bits of SQL 2016, and we had Power BI visualizations that enabled our business leaders from Satya all the way down to explore the data and understand what was happening and have these very robust reviews in a totally paperless environment as well, by the way, because as we learned at the beginning, it is a digital age, and so we are paperless as well. So let's talk about SQL. There's actually it's just launched. Some people may be more familiar with it than others, but we believe that it is industry leading in these critical OLTP sections. We believe it's the most secure database. It's the highest performing data warehouse, has end-to-end mobile BI, and it has in-database analytics, advanced analytics. What do we mean by industry leading? Gartner just released a new study. They call it their Magic Quadrant. And they propelled Microsoft significantly forward. You can see Microsoft, it's probably hard to read, but it's the furthest dot on the upper right-hand corner. They've rated us highest on both completeness of vision as well as on ability to execute, which is great. It's such a great compliment for Microsoft. And we've surpassed now all of our competitors, some of whom have actually backtracked in the survey because they haven't been able to actually deliver all of the things that they've promised. And so we believe that this is the perfect time for anybody considering migrating to SQL to do so. The value of migrating is better than ever, as we'll see in a little bit, and you get so much for what you spend. It's the most secure database for 6 years in a row. And this is crucial for all of us. We all care about security. SQL 2016 actually has fewer vulnerabilities than any of our competitors for 6 years now in a row. It's also the highest performing warehouse. So we actually, this holds the number 1, 2, and 3 spots for hardware platforms on HP, on Lenovo, and on Cisco. And we used multiple data sizes here, 1, 3, and 10 terabytes. And not only did SQL Server 2016 perform better than any of the competitors, but it did it at much greater scale. In fact, at greater scale than Oracle and IBM combined. So fourth, it's an end-to-end mobile BI. It gives you mobile BI, and especially because of the acquisition of DataZen. Many of you have heard about DataZen. And so now with SQL Server 2016, with SQL Server reporting services, you can actually integrate that with DataZen, with Power BI, and get all of this data that you need on the go anywhere you go, and at a fraction of the cost of competitors, which is great. Again, giving that value for what you get. And finally, this R memory, R for in advanced analytics, is built in. In fact, all of the features that I've just mentioned are built in, which is very important for us when we think about buying that next data warehouse platform. As I said before, if you're on SQL, an older version of SQL, maybe 2005, this is a great time to upgrade. If you're on one of our competitors, this is a perfect time to switch because of many of these things. And you can do all of this faster than ever. We have the fastest read-write times, and it works great, as was mentioned before for other products. This works perfectly on-premise or in the cloud. So we can help you scale across and make sure that you're able to access that data wherever you feel most comfortable having it. Now, I want to talk one more thing about SQL before I go into Power BI, and that is the total cost of ownership. So as a finance guy, I care a lot about what we're spending for the tools that we use at Microsoft. If you go out and buy a competitor's product, Not all of these great features that we just mentioned are built in. You actually pay for each one of the features independently. And so the costs add up significantly. Here, we're looking at basically a very comparable work stream for Oracle and for SQL Server 2016. And you can see it's a fraction of the cost. Oracle's 11, 12 times more expensive. SQL has all of these factors: in-memory processing, end-to-end security, advanced analytics, and complete mobile BI platform, all built in at the base price that you pay. So total cost of ownership is best in the industry. Now on to Power BI. Some of you may have heard of Power BI. It launched last July, this newest iteration of Power BI. And we love it internally as well. It's fueling all of our business reviews, as I said, and it's empowering our analysts, our business decision makers, to drill into data, to understand data better and faster than ever before. You can experience your data anytime, anywhere, any place, as we'll get into in a little bit. We already have 90,000 organizations in 185 countries using Power BI. Great, great progress if you think about the short time span since it launched. And I've talked about Server 2016. Obviously, you can use SQL works perfectly with Power BI, but our goal is to empower you to use Power BI with any data platform. And so we allow you to get your data from cloud, from non-cloud, from on-premise, for example. You can tap into your SaaS providers. You can tap into Excel even, or CSV files. Power BI allows you to get access to whatever data you need to actually drive your business forward. And in fact, all of these other advanced capabilities that I mentioned earlier, the technology is already built in as well. Stream analytics, machine learning, statistical analysis, the ability to embed this directly in apps on your mobile phones. And again, as I said, it's possible to do all of this BI on-premise or in the cloud. You can author these great BI views in Excel. We still use Excel a lot in Microsoft. I don't know about many of you. It's still the most widely used BI tool on the planet. And Power BI integrates perfectly with Excel, as I'll show you in just a little bit. But you also have a new tool called Power BI Desktop for authoring, which is a free tool, actually. I already talked about SQL, which also integrates well. You also have other Microsoft Cloud products that integrate perfectly. Office 365, Azure, Dynamics was mentioned earlier, and non-Microsoft Cloud. And all of this you can take with you wherever you go, as I mentioned. So you can access it from the web, from any device, from your computers or laptops or tablets, as well as from apps. Last couple slides here. I just want to talk again about the amazing progress Microsoft has made across all of these different technologies. I shared already the SQL progress that we've made, becoming leader in both completeness of vision and ability to execute there. But Power BI actually just got huge kudos from Gartner in February as well, propelling us way to the right on completeness of vision. And I hope that you can see why. I hope that you can see this amazing breadth that Microsoft offers for you to tap into your data wherever it is, on Microsoft Stack or no, and be able to make sense of that data. And in fact, if you build this out a little bit further and talk about data warehouse and data management, we're a leader as well, and we're a visionary leader for advanced analytics. So with that said, now I want to show you a bit of a demo of how we're using many of these tools internally at Microsoft to drive this insight, to drive action. So let me go over to my PC here and just make sure that we're on and we can get it up on the screen. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to start in Excel. Who uses Excel? Anybody here? Oh, good. I'm glad to see lots of hands. We love Excel. We will continue to love Excel. We will continue to use it. So it's only right that I start in Excel, right? I want to show you a couple of the cool features. Some of you may not have used Excel 2016. At Microsoft, we use Office 365, as you can imagine, and so we always have the latest version of Office. We're using Office 2016, and I want to show just a couple cool features that we love now and are taking advantage of to start to do some of that backward-looking, descriptive kind of analytics, right? First of all, new visuals. I've used Excel for a long time. I love the new visuals, built-in waterfalls, built-in tree maps, sunburst, histograms, bar charts, etc. All of these things are new, help us get access to our data faster than ever. This forecast capability is also super cool. It's not terribly robust. For that, we need more advanced analytics, which I'll get to in a minute. But this cool forecast feature that's built in, we actually find ourselves using quite often because it does give us a nice insight in the room. If we're in the room with business partners, Excel now allows us to kind of project that data very quickly with the touch of a button, by the way. So from my data pane, I can actually click on forecast sheet now, and you notice the blue line is the historicals, and the orange line now, Excel has automatically created this forecast for me, which is cool. It actually then allows us to go into options. I can change the seasonality to say 12 months. I can adjust my confidence interval up and down, and then I can export this to Excel. It gives me the graph, it gives me the data underneath. I can plug this into my model. It actually gives me the statistical significance of this forecast as well. So that's a feature that we're using. On the data pane as well, while I'm here, there are all these great new features built in to allow you to get and transform data. So I can actually go grab SQL data, for example, right here from Excel. I can pull it in, or if I want to go grab data from other data sources, Excel or others, I can actually mash them together. I have all this robust capability at my fingertips now to transform that data. And then the sharing capability is also very often used at Microsoft to collaborate with our teams, because you remember that data dividend. We need to be able to allow more people to access this. And so the sharing pane is automatically built in now to all the Office 2016 products. It allows you right there on the right side of the pane to share this with any of your colleagues, and they'll be able to edit this file in real time as well. There's so much more. I could go on forever about Excel because I do love it. 3D maps are amazing. We're using those as well. But I want to get on actually to the Power BI, because I think that's a new product maybe many in the audience have not heard of or used yet. And Power BI is actually transforming the way that we run our business at Microsoft. As I mentioned, we run this big business review called mid-year review, or we have quarterly or monthly reviews. We're transitioning now all of those to Power BI. And why would we do that? Because Power BI gives us access again to all that data in a single pane of glass. Power BI allows us, in this case, we're looking at some of our metrics from our investor relations webpage. So these are all public, this is all public data that we're able to show. And we've committed to the street, to all of you, that we will execute on these power metrics. And so we're monitoring them very closely, as you can imagine. Satya has a dashboard that looks just like this. And many of our senior leaders up and down the company are now monitoring dashboards like this in real time. All of the numbers here could be connected to SQL 2016, for example, and refreshing in real time as the data underneath changes. And if we notice something going on, you can take action very quickly. You can actually say, hey, this $9.4 billion revenue for our commercial cloud revenue, I would love to know more about that. I want to know what's happening with our commercial cloud revenue. And I would love to show you our commercial cloud revenue, but I was told I can't share that publicly. So I've mocked up a little bit of a fictional company just to show you what this would look like. We're going to click on the 9.4, and we're going to drill now into a report for a construction company. You'll notice this construction company comes up, and you'll see that we've got some revenue across the top, and we've got our variance to budget, our VTB, on the bottom. And so now in this report, we can start to analyze those numbers. You remember we started on the dashboard, we said, hey, that's a concern. I need to drill down, I need to understand what's happening, and this allows us to do it. And not just give us this static report, but it's also dynamic, which is great. So I can say, hey, we're missing by $19 million. Why is that? I looked across the screen, I see it's driven by some of these geographies, Western Europe, Central Europe, Eastern Europe's actually doing quite well. My products, some of the products are doing well, some aren't. Pricing level, but I can actually click on any of these views and everything's interactive. So I can click on Western Europe, I can actually drill in as well. So let's drill into Eastern Europe and see why it's doing so well. Look, Turkey, obviously, huge component of some of that growth. So I click on Turkey and automatically I get this beautiful view of Turkey and I can see which products are doing well in Turkey. Well, how we're doing seasonality-wise, which pricing levels we sell the most of. And all of these great views, all of you could build in literally minutes. We could give you Power BI Desktop. You can download it for free. You can start creating these views immediately. So easy to use, especially everybody that raised your hand that you've used Excel, you're the perfect candidates to use Power BI, which is great. And actually, just to show you very, very quickly how quick it is to build one of these, let's go into edit. And I just want to show you really quickly. Let's say we want to make a new dashboard for actuals. And let's say we want to go grab a geo, and let's grab country, and let's make this a tree map. Right? So just clicking on these data fields, just like that, you can build out this view in just a few minutes. So Power BI works wonderfully well. Now, who has a mobile phone in their pocket right now? Right? Everybody has a mobile phone. So we need to be able to access these dashboards no matter where we go. I'm going to log into my phone here, and we'll see. I think I'm going to have a camera come up and shadow me here. I've got a Windows 10 device, but we actually create these amazing apps for iOS, for Android, and for Windows 10. And let me back up so we can see. So if you're able to see my screen here, on the home screen, I've got this beautiful yellow tile for Power BI. And I'm going to actually click on that. And it'll go in, and you notice this is my Power Metrics dashboard. In fact, if I turn it to kind of a landscape mode, you'll recognize this dashboard, right? Looks familiar? It's exactly the same dashboard that we were just using in the browser. I've got it on my mobile device. I'm on my way to my next meeting, and I want to check in to see how the business is trending. I pull this out. I can actually then scroll through. And again, there's that $9.4 billion number. You remember that one. I can actually click into this number. It opens up the report for me. I can drill down. I can understand what's happening with my business in real time. And just for sake of time, I'm actually going to come out of there. And I can actually send an email. If something looks concerning, I can take action right on the fly. I can hit this ellipses, and I can share this with my team and say, hey, I noticed this $9.4 billion. It looks like it's trending very well. Can you give me more detail? I can actually publish this to Facebook, even if I wanted, or I can send a quick email, Outlook mail, for example, to my team. So Power BI now in your pocket. Data, access to your data anywhere, anytime, any place. As I said, it's transforming our business. It gives us access to our data faster than ever before. But as we said, if we go along that continuum then, we've done a little bit of the descriptive analytics. We've even done some really cool insights using Power BI. But now we need to move to the far right, to predictive. So how do we do predictive analysis at Microsoft? Let me show you machine learning very quickly. So Azure Machine Learning now, again, integrates perfectly with the rest of our Microsoft tools. And let's say in this instance that we want to analyze our customer churn. We care very much about our customers, as I know all of you do. And so if we wanted to understand which of our customers are perhaps at risk of leaving, how would we do that? And in this instance, we've used some telecom data. So this could be, I know that Turkey just launched this cool 4.5G speed at several of your mobile operators. So let's pretend like we're looking at data for one of those providers, right? And I'm in an Azure workspace now, and I can actually visualize this data. The beautiful thing about Azure Machine Learning is it's doing for the machine learning space what Power BI did for data and visualization. It's allowing the non-technical but data-savvy professionals in your organization to be able to create these amazing machine learning experiments by themselves. It's drag and drop, just like Power BI. Very, very easy to use. Here you can see we're looking at the data for one of your telecom operators, let's say. You can see here, this is some states data. I see the telephone numbers. I see whether or not they have an international plan or a voicemail plan. And some of the columns that I care most about are over here. How many customer service calls have they made, and whether or not they've left. And so you see most of my customers are happy. Right? That false column on the right-hand side there, most are happy, most have not left. False is stating that they have not left. But a few have. I do have good data about customers who have left, and I know exactly all these other details about them. So machine learning can now help me predict which of those customers are at risk of leaving. And actually, I can do it in Power BI. So I ran this experiment already, and I exported it to Power BI. Let's go look at what this looks like. I'm not going to save our dashboard we created. So you'll notice on this dashboard, this gives me great insights already about who may be at risk of churning. And you notice one thing really interesting in the middle, in that big middle chart there, those customer service calls end up being very, very good predictor of churn. So the machine learning model is now putting a probability that other customers will churn. And it's saying, hey, if they call 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, you've lost them. right? Your chances of losing them go up exponentially. That's the black portion. But not just that, but because I put this into Power BI, I can actually now click on and drill in and click on California, for example, or Maryland or New Jersey, and I can actually interact now with that output from Azure Machine Learning. And not just that, the final thing I want to show you is the ability now to actually predict what will happen next. And so we're actually going to do a machine learning experiment right now. We're going to set up a predictive experiment that allows, again, all of your analysts or all of you to actually take action. And you notice Azure is already doing all of this cool work for me. This is stuff that used to take your data scientists weeks to create what machine learning just did for me in seconds. We've created this experiment, and now we're going to run it together. And you'll notice up here, it's in draft, and it's going to run, and you'll notice how fast it is. It all depending on my internet connection here, but it looks, wow, okay, very quickly, it's running, a few seconds, it's going to be done. And what it's doing now is it's going through and trying to predict, creating an algorithm to help me look forward and predict which of my customers may be going to a competitor soon, right? And so there you see it finished running very, very fast. And so very, very fast. And what I love is I can actually access this, guess where? In our favorite product of all time, a very familiar interface. I can access this in Excel, which is fantastic. So it brings up this great page, which is perfect for your data scientists. It gives you all the R, all the data that you need to actually take this further in a data science world. But I love Excel. And so I'm going to open this in Excel 2016. And we'll open this up. And what you'll see here is Excel now integrates perfectly with Azure. So it will open this file with an Azure Machine Learning tab built in to Excel. Let me enable editing right here. And you'll notice Azure Machine Learning pops up directly in Excel here. It's loading, and I can actually click on that prediction experiment that we just created, and I can grab some sample data. But imagine it's a month or it's 2 months down the road, and I get some new data from SQL perhaps that shows me my customer data. And I want to try to interpret whether these customers may be at risk of leaving. So we're actually going to do one thing really quick. We're going to, let me just freeze these panes. So we're going to freeze some panes here. There we go. And I'm actually going to run an experiment here. So in Excel, we're going to use the power of SQL to be able to, let me see, where do I want to put this? I want to put this in W1. Perfect, and predict. And so what we're doing, let me just grab this data. Perfect. Predict. So what is happening now is Excel is sending this data up to Azure, and you see it very fast. It returned it then to Excel, and here on the far right-hand side, it shows me the probability that those companies may be leaving. And you notice for most of these, it's very low. And here it's telling me all of them, all of these companies that I have are not at risk of leaving currently, right? But what could I do to actually maybe sell more to these companies? Let me do one thing here. Let me unfreeze and freeze again, just so you can see this field over here. Okay, perfect. All right, okay, perfect. So let's just say now that you notice some have international plans and some don't. Let's say we turn on international plans for all of them. So yes, yes. Now, what Azure Machine Learning is going to do is that it automatically will go out and try to interpret whether we sell these people an international plan, what that does to the actual probability that they will churn or not. And so again, let me turn off cap locks here. Okay, so I'm selling all these folks Azure, I'm selling all these folks an international plan, I'm selling these folks a data plan, and I may have lost my connection. But the beauty of this tool, as you can see, integrates perfectly with Excel and allows us to take action on this data in real time. Now, all of these tools that I've talked about today, SQL, Power BI, Excel, allows us to do more with our data than ever before, and they integrate perfectly, better than ever before, and allow you, as I said at the beginning, to be the companies that are able to take advantage of that data dividend, to be the companies that are able to extract more insight and take action on your data faster than ever before. So it's been such a pleasure being here. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cory Hrncirik, for your presentation, for your kind contribution. Thank you very much.